Okay, Max-Migold Ltd is a physical facilities advisory, training and technology outfit. We set out to bridge a gap in the real estate sector where we have developments being built all over the country and very little in terms of operations and maintenance plans. Buildings are brought up everywhere, and all we know how to do is build, but we don't know how to operate and run a building. Of course, you'll agree with me that buildings take 2 to 5 years to build, however complex, but it takes 60, 70, 100 years to run the buildings. And there was a gap. There is a definite skill gap in Nigeria in terms of operations and maintenance of built infrastructure. So we came in to start an outfit where we can provide training, where we can provide advisory services and consulting to help developers understand that you don't just build and hope that the building will last forever and the asset value will be maintained. We have a set of skills, it's a body of knowledge that we share from the field of facilities management to help people continue to use their assets and continue to get value from it in the long run. So we train facility managers both in the corporate environment, in the residential estates. We train facility managers who have set up companies where they actually provide these services professionally to the corporate world. Well, I started out trying to become an architect, so I'm very much grounded in the built environment. In Nigeria, actually, we don't have a first degree on an undergraduate study in facility management. So you could come in from estate management, survey, engineering, architecture, environmental studies, all of those that make up the built environment. But during my design training days, I realized that I wanted to engage with the building far beyond construction. I wanted to engage with the building through its useful life. I was more interested in the life cycle of a building system and how people use the building and how the building serves the function for which it was designed through its useful life. So I decided to go into facility management, and I started working as a facility manager. In fact, before I got my first job as a facility manager, I've already started out as an entrepreneur, providing as-built drawings for clients, providing the kind of data that is the basis for actually being able to manage your facilities. So I started out in business, went into paid employment, and then come back again to start Max-Migold as a business to provide the same kind of capacity building in the industry of operations and maintenance, because the focus here is on maintainability and sustainability, not just building and construction. Max-Migold Ltd will provide, like I said before, advisory services. Advisory services in the area of cost reduction. We help companies and organizations go through their operations costs and advise on ways they can reduce those costs. We have advisory services on maintainability, so developers who want to build up estates or high-rise towers or any kind of structure, they need to have facility management consultants embedded in their consultancy team through the planning, design, and construction phases before you even get to operations and maintenance, so that the things that need to be designed and built into the facility to make it easy to maintain over time, we need to build that into it. We also provide advisory services to property owners and buyers who wants to buy buildings or large infrastructure, but they need to be able to know the condition of those assets. So we do asset condition assessments. We want to help organizations also to be able to develop their asset registers and create a maintenance plan. So we provide advisory in those areas. And then we also provide project management services, mainly in the area of outsourcing. So we call that managed services. So you have a need for all kinds of services: plumbing services, electrical services, air conditioning services, janitorial, fumigation, all kinds of things that makes a building useful to the people who live in the building or who use the building. We help organizations to manage that outsourcing process, help them find the right people, help train them, help manage quality assurance, so that the clients can just focus on his core business while we mind all the support functions that they want to buy into their services. We do that. We also provide training. like I said before, for facility managers, and organizations who want to do their own facility management in-house without hiring contractors from FM companies. We can train their staff. We can help them set up their organization in such a way that they can actually function professionally in the support function. And then we also are pushing into the industry the adoption of technology. We have always in this country bought technology from abroad. Every time we needed to use a software, we found something on the internet, contacted the guys in Europe, in UK, and in the US and India, and then they bring in the technology. But now we are getting to encourage local indigenous technology developers. And we are having strategic alliances with a couple of them so that we can build technology solutions that meet our own peculiar operations terrain. So that's basically it. Advisory services, project management and outsourcing services, training and technology. That's where we've stayed because there's been a big gap. Most FM companies are direct service providers, but we are not direct service providers. We help to bridge the knowledge gap and the skill gap and build capability in the system. First is developers, property owners, governments, institutions, organizations need to understand the life cycle of a building. Okay, where we seem to stop right now is we need to cater for 100 people, 1,000 people. We need to cater for so many numbers, and we need to build something this big, and this is how much it's going to cost us. Those are just the first 2 steps in the life cycle of a building. The conception, which is where you decide that this is the need and this is the kind of facility I need to bridge that, provide that need, and then the design, where you create all those layouts and everything, and then you construct. The building is now in existence. Now, interestingly, these 3 steps so far that I've enumerated accounts for less than 10% of the building life cycle costs. Operating and maintaining this building over 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years accounts for 90% of the cost, the building life cycle cost. So I think that is what we're trying to get into the industry. Buildings live. Once you build them, they are born. And once they are born, you need to understand that they need to live through their useful life. And that process incurs costs, incurs a lot of resources to be invested in them to ensure that the people can get value from the use of the building, to ensure that the building is maintained so that the asset value can be sustained. Okay, so if you build a building for $1 billion today and you don't make provisions to maintain and keep the building alive and functional, the value will not remain the same. The value will keep going down. Utility from the building will keep going down, and that's exactly what we're trying to get developers to understand. If this advice can be taken by all developers and a little provision is made for ongoing operations and maintenance, of course it's a lot over its useful life, then we will not have this issue of maintenance culture. So when you're planning a building, when you're planning a facility, don't just stop at construction costs. Make a projection of what it's going to cost to operate and maintain the building and all the skills required to maintain the building. There's a body of knowledge that's been defined by the International Facility Management Association, okay, that encapsulates key or core competencies that people must have to be able to run the building. Apart from the engineering aspects, the maintenance, the hardware of the building, as it were, there are the people aspect, the occupant services you need to maintain in the building, and then there are the continuous regulatory compliance that needs to be met for the building to stay functional and still sanctioned as a useful building. All of this requires resources and costs, and this is where we want to get developers to get to the point where they can plan for the useful life, for the life cycle, instead of just to construction. The International Facility Management Association is a body of facility managers globally. Over 30,000 members all over the world, in more than 100 countries. In Nigeria, we have 2 chapters of IFMA, the Nigeria chapter in Lagos and the Abuja chapter. And basically, these are opportunities for members to come together to network, to learn new skills, to get training opportunities, and to be able to professionalize in the practice of facility management. What we have moved a step forward in Nigeria today is, just yesterday, incidentally, we launched the Nigeria FM initiative. It's an initiative that brings together key players and stakeholders in the facility management industry across the country to form a national body. Because right now we have IFMA, it's an American organization. Is all that we've had for the last 20 years of practicing facility management in Nigeria. But now we are working now to create a Nigerian Association of Facility Managers. And so over the next few weeks and months, you'll hear more about how facility managers are bonding together to speak with a common voice, to present one face to the government and to the public about what facility management is, the value we add to the national economy and to the real estate sector. And this is going to be coming out in weeks as we go on. Max-Migold set up principally to provide world best practices localized to our own terrain for maintainability and sustainability. Those are the key words for us. We want everyone to understand that there are skills, there are technology, there are tools that we need to apply to sustain and maintain our developments. We have not been too far short in terms of building infrastructure. Our gap in this country has always been maintainability and sustainability. So we are a research and development organization. So all of the training and consulting, they come out of in-depth research, continuous learning of the best ways to propagate maintainability and sustainability in our system. So that's our main vision. So that we want to be the go-to organization when people want to investigate or learn or acquire skills or acquire the tools to maintain and sustain